Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? You are knowing what you are wanting? It moves about, doesn't it? You are enjoying desire. You like the feeling of desire. You like the feeling of desire even before it manifests. Yes, when it's fresh and new. New desires, even though they haven't manifest, often are exhilarating. But what about those desires that you have been holding for a while that have not yet manifested? How do you feel about those? Well, first we want to say to you that there's really no point in having any of those, because when you are understanding the process of creating, when you remember who you are, when you tap back into that feeling of worthiness that you were born with, then you don't have to be patient about desires manifesting, because they manifest quickly. In fact, the way you intended for it to be, you said, the contrast will inspire me to the new idea, because whenever I know what I don't want, I always know more clearly what I do want. And once I know what I do want, I will just turn in the direction of that, find vibrational alignment with that desire, and it will be. So you didn't come into your physical body planning on taking a long time to create anything. You didn't plan on struggling and suffering. You planned on choosing and focusing. But as you come into your physical experience, many people, even though they choose what they do want, you could hear it with their words. I don't want that. I do want this. I don't want to be sick. I do want to be well. I don't want to have a shortage of money. I don't want to be tight with money. I don't want to be deprived of things I want to do. I do want to have plenty of money. I do want to be able to make choices of what I want to do freely. I know what I don't want. I don't want confusion. I know what I do want. I do want clarity. In other words, you hear people all the time describing what they don't want, what they do want. But we want you to understand that it is not by virtue of the words that you offer that you attract to your experience, although words can amplify how you feel. It is instead, you are offering the vibration that is what you would call the thought or the thought energy. You are vibrational beings, you see, far more than the flesh, blood, and bone manifested beings that you know yourself to be. So when you come to remember that you are vibrational beings first and foremost, then it begins to make a little bit of sense how it is that you are asking vibrationally, not with words. Sometimes, in fact quite often, someone really knows what they do not want. So they use words to describe what they do want, but not as many words to describe what they do want as words to describe why they don't want what they don't want. In fact, a lot of times, without even realizing you're doing it, you are explaining why you need something or why you should get something by amplifying how bad it is without it. Sort of like you're pleading your case to your mother. She used to come up with the goods. Finally, you just wore her down. All right. I said, all right. But the universe is always responding to your vibration. So when you're focused upon being sick in your explanation of why you want to be well, you're keeping active within yourself the vibration of sickness, not the vibration of wellness. And so wellness can't come to you, not while the vibration of sickness is the dominant, most active vibration. When we say the universe is responding to your vibration, we're talking about the nice people in the kitchen too. We're talking about everyone that you interact with. You cannot cover up your vibration with your words or action. Your vibration is dominant. In other words, until Jerry and Esther find it important enough to clean up their vibration relative to this. Now, it doesn't seem very important, does it? They're not starving to death. And because it's not very important, They're not taking the time. They just go from hotel to hotel to hotel, taking their same expectation with them relative to that. And we want you to realize that as minuscule of subject as that seems, that's exactly how everything in your experience is coming to you. When you get something stuck in your vibrational craw, and that's what a belief is, and sometimes the beliefs that are stuck in your vibrational craw serve you, and sometimes they don't. Expectation is the most powerful word relative to deliberate creating that we can find, because your expectation amplifies your desire, but really amplifies the vibration and where it is in relationship to the desire. When you want this, and you really want it, but you expect the opposite of it, it's a more active thing in your experience. But your expectation always wins, always wins, always wins. You want to see the world through the eyes of the expanded source. Now hear this, the expanded source who has just newly expanded because of you. That's why you're so hooked into it. That's why it feels so personal. It is personal. You caused source to expand, and when you don't take the expansion, you take it personal. You feel empty. You feel void. Those are too strong of words. You feel disconnected. Still too strong. You feel resistant. Better word. You feel resistant to the becoming that life has caused you and us to become. So here's another way of looking at it. You came forth willing and wanting to explore contrast in order to add to the expansion of the universe. We stand in non-physical, eagerly experiencing the expansion that you have carved out, and steadily holding focus upon it and living it as a done deal, shining a light on your request and calling you toward it forevermore, knowing that at your time of absence of resistance, you too will reap the benefit of your request. Knowing that as masses, you put requests in that sometimes your generation doesn't allow yourself to live, because you're too busy factioning off in liberal or conservative battlefields and pushing against one or the other and using each other and what each other wants as your excuse to deprive yourself of the very thing that your collaboration caused you to ask for. But no worries. Source, all that is, took the expansion. And it is from that vantage point that new generations are born, who will be born with less resistance. And while you'll leave monuments to your resistance all over your planet, you will leave monuments and books and all kinds of information for the new ones to read, and you'll do your best to remind them how awful it really is, so that they will forget their God-given joy that they came forth with. Even though you try very, very, very hard, the natural process of the recycling of experience causes every generation to be less resistant than the last. So you, in your generations, you are setting forth very much in this vibrational escrow. We're going to call this the vortex of creation. You have contributed massively to this vortex that will benefit generations to come. And so this gathering, this conversation, is not about needing to do anything to fix anything, because whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you are source energy. And whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you are vibrational beings. And whether you are consciously aware of it or not, while you are here in your physical bodies, you are simultaneously source energy. Bigger, more of you, source energy than physically focused. And whether you are aware of it or not, the contrast that you live causes you to expand the universe. And whether you are aware of it or not, the larger part of you takes the expansion and holds it steady and revels in the good work that you have done. And whether you know it or not, well-being abounds and always will. So this workshop is not about fixing any of that, because that's all percolating along just fine in your awareness or ignorance of it. What this gathering is about is that we don't think you should have to croak and be part of the next generation before you reap the benefit of what you have asked for. We think that you should be able to ask and receive now. We think that you should get to be the creator that you came forth to be, that life should inspire you to the new idea, And that with very little struggle, you should then be able to quite effectively then turn your attention toward the new idea and no longer justify by beating the drum of why you are asking for the new idea. Just ask and it is given and let it be. And we are confident that as you ask and launch a rocket of desire that you are in the beginning not a vibrational match to, that with a little bit of effort, far less than it takes you to learn a computer program, with a little bit of effort, you can turn your attention toward this new desire that you have carved out of your life experience. And as you do that, as you turn your attention toward it and familiarize yourself with the feeling of the success of that request, and let that vibration of this satisfied request be your dominant chronic offering, that it then in very short order must manifest. Because when you remove the resistance from this vibrational equation, when you remove the contradictory vibration to the desires that you have fostered, those desires have to manifest in full form for you and all to see. But then we know that even though you have manifested your desire, you now, and it is such a good thing, stand in a whole new place, a whole new platform with a whole new set of contrasting experiences, which are going to cause you again to know more specifically, more clearly what you don't want, which is going to cause you to ask for what you do want. And we know that you have the ability, now you've asked with clarity, to turn and give your undivided attention to what you are now asking for, no longer beating the drum of your validation or justification or excuse for asking. You see, you don't need any validation. When you ask, it is given. Now some say, Abraham, what about those guys that I'm pretty sure are going to ask for bad things? If they ask for bad things, will it end up in the vibrational escrow? Will it go to this vortex? And we say, first of all, you got to stop killing each other over who gets to decide what the good things are. In other words, you have a great amount of diversity in what you are asking for. And the assumption that you're the only one that is right is really an erroneous and not good for you assumption. But let's say that most everybody agrees that this one particular really extra special effects heinous act is really not something wanted. And let's say this person is smiling while he's doing it. And people say, look at him, he likes doing that. He likes dropping those bombs on those villages, or he likes taking his gun into that business office and gunning everyone down. And we say, no one ever in a state of alignment offers anything like that. When you have brought yourself into this vortex of creation that is the culmination of who you are, and when you align to it from inside that vortex where only love and well-being abound, you are not in that guarded, resistant, protective modality that makes you then erroneously believe the impossible thing that you can push away what you don't want and make it go away. This universe is a universe that is based upon attraction. Law of attraction is the manager of all of these vibrational frequencies. There is no exclusion in this universe. So when you see something not wanted and you shout no at it, you're not saying no to it, you're saying yes to it. You're saying, come to me, this thing I do not want, because in your attention to it, you are activating the vibration of it. And when you activate the vibration of what you do not want, you prevent yourself from going to the vibration of what you do want. Can you hear that? There's not a stream of badness or a stream of heinousness. There's not a stream of evil. There's not a stream of darkness. You don't walk into a room and look for a dark switch. Flip the switch and inky, misty darkness comes down and covers up the light. There's not any of that. You can resist this light, and you can resist well-being, and you can resist wellness, and you can resist goodness, and you can resist clarity, and you can resist abundance. You can resist all things wanted, but you are the one resisting it by giving your attention to the unwanted and making the unwanted so active in your vibration that it prevents you from getting into the vortex where everything that you want is. Pretty clear, isn't it?